Let's go to process right now, which is the third task one. So an example of a process would be something like that, okay, or something like that, okay, could be something like that. Now, again, introduction, all the same thing. Remember, all the four task ones is the same thing. Introduction, which is a paraphrase for the first paragraph, paraphrasing whatever it is here, okay, paraphrasing this, okay. Again, you can use some of these phrases, not necessarily you'll be able to use it. Again, these work for some of the processes. You could say that the picture shows how what is past participle verb, the steps involved in verb ing, the process by which what is what, okay. For example, these are example sentences. Overview. Now again, remember the principle of overview. In one sentence or two sentences, what exactly is happening, just giving one sentence, the big picture, no details. And you know, if there are two parts of it, you should mention two parts. Again, every time there are two parts, just like any kind of, even the the time period and no time period, it's possible that there are two parts or two graphs or whatever. You always have to mention it in both the introduction and the overview, okay. So if there are two parts here, you talk about both, okay. Now one possible overview for processes. Again, this may not apply to every single thing that you come across, but you could say something. You can talk about the stages. There are how many stages from what to what, from the first stage to the last stage. There are 20 stages in this process, from sowing the seed in the ground to selling the product in the supermarket, okay. So this kind of gives you an overview of the process, okay. It tells you the number of stages, tells you the first and the last stage, okay. So again, the principle of the overview is giving a big picture without details, numbers, figures, etc. Okay. So next one, let's talk about describing the process. Now, one thing you want to know about describing the process, if it's especially if it's a man-made process, two things you want to be you take note of. Number one, what tense is it going to be? It's going to be in the present simple tense, because a process is not something, you're not going to use the past simple tense, because the past simple signifies that this process happened in the past, and like maybe, oh, this process happened last week on Tuesday at 10 a.m. or something like that, okay. But no, when they give you a process diagram, it is something that always occurs. Life cycle of silkworm, this is not something that happened last time and doesn't happen anymore. Production of silkworm, this is the process that always occurs, okay. So this is going to be present simple tense. The other thing is they want to use the passive, okay. Passive, you either have learned or you will be learning in the grammar section or the writing what passive is. As I've probably mentioned to you a few times, what passive is very important to understand what how to use the passive, okay. I'm not going to explain here because you will find out, will know about it. Is to use the be plus a past participle. It is when you put the receiver of the action, you put it in the subject position, okay. Why do you use the passive? You use the passive voice because you want to focus on the receiver action. You don't want to say something like, oh, just imagine this, okay. The production of silk cloth. What happens in this process? Oh, firstly, the workers select the cocoon and then put it in boiling water. Then the workers take it out and unwind it, etc., etc. You see what I'm doing? I'm talking about the workers. Do we care about the workers? No, we don't care about the workers. The doer, the action, selecting, putting it in boiling water, unwinding it, twisting, etc. We don't care. That's the reason why we focus on the action. We focus on the receiver, the action. So you will say something like, the cocoon is selected. That's a passive. Then it is placed in boiling water. Okay, so that's the passive. All right, I'm not going to give you a full lesson on the passive, but this is what you want to do for processes. Make sure it's present simple tense, make sure it's passive. Okay, so present simple passive. You could use for phrases linking, because a process is always going to be from this stage to the next, etc. Use all these phrases. Okay, all right. So don't use the same thing. Firstly, after this, the following stage is that, finally, etc. Okay, use all these phrases. So let me just give you an example of this. Okay, the diagrams highlight the steps, because we talk about 2 steps involved in producing cement and the process by which concrete is produced using cement. All right, which is a paraphrase of this. There are 6 stages in the former process, from the mixing of 2 raw materials to the packaging of the cement. Okay, first and last. And 2 stages in the latter process that involves 4 materials. All right. Okay, then you go to the first body. The first stage, here we have all these phrases like the first, the following step, finally, etc. The first stage is that limestone and clay are crushed, which produces powder. The powder is mixed in a mixer and then moves through a rotating heater. Subsequently, the material is heated with fire. The following step is that the mixture moves along a conveyor belt and is then ground. Ground is the past participle. Remember, here is ground, is heated. These are passive, present perfect, present simple passive. Okay, are crushed. This is present simple passive. So ground here is a past participle of grind, grind, which is a verb. Okay, so this is a passive. Remember, passive is be plus past participle, and is then ground through a grinder which produces cement. Finally, the cement is packed into bags and transported to the construction site where it is used to make concrete. Okay, in order to make concrete, a concrete mixer is filled with 50% gravel, 25% sand, 15% cement, and 10% water. Once the materials have been added, the mixture rotates until concrete is produced. Okay, so that is basically what you are doing. You're just describing, no comparison in a sense, just pretty much describing. Okay, and this is 159 words. See, it's very difficult to get 150 plus. Sometimes students cannot get it. All right, so this is the process. There are different kinds of process. You are just describing it using present simple passive, and not really a lot of comparison. Now look at this. Okay, here it's very simple. You have 2 different sections. You can body 1, body 2. This one also you have 2, body 1, body 2. This one you don't have. Okay, so where you are going to end your body 1 is really up to you. You could end it here, you could end it here, then body 2 carries on here. Okay, just have a logical division, but never put it all in one paragraph. Okay, you have to have body 1 and body 2. Okay.